Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on. I do not like that. I'm forgetting to do that side of it. Anyway, it's the journey continues on March 29th, 30. Yeah, we're in 30. We're starting off good. March 29th, 2024. At approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I literally guide virtually every movement by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and for literally thousands of others with varying degrees of success depending on their own efforts. Now, today is just one of those weird days. To be frank, I don't pay much attention to statutory holidays or most other days. But before I get into it, who do we got in the house here? We have LA Moon is in with the gold. And other than that, we are riding quiet. Although I do know Storm is hiding in the background here, or frankly, we wouldn't be running. So, there we go. Ferret, you are in with Silver. Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. I'm still trying to work out when I'm coming back down to the island, but that's certainly not going to be this year. Joe, how you doing? You are in with the bronze. And yeah, I gathered that as I said that today was just absolutely. Joe has gold. We are just informed. Okay. And we can tell I'm really on top of the game here. Will Ryder, how are you? That puts, let's see if. Okay. Woo, you are in with honorable mention. That, in all fairness, Ferret, that is my doing. Not knowing exactly who's where. Of course, this is one of those growing pains with regards to getting somebody else to handle the stream. And trust me on this one, that's actually a good thing. But, I was asked just right before I came on to do this live stream if we were going to do an Easter show. And I will tell you, I wasn't honestly planning on until this morning. I didn't even know today was Easter. Well, Good Friday. But with that in mind, and like I said, I'm certainly not one to pick one religion over another. Not with what I've discovered over the years. But I will ask you this. If you celebrate Easter, okay, if you are one of these people that call yourself a Christian and celebrate Easter, now bear in mind, not all Christians celebrate Easter. I'm one of the ones that doesn't. Okay, quite honestly, there's a lot of reasons for that. But if you are one of the ones that does, I'll finish that thought as soon as I finish this one. Oh, fantastic there, Ferret. Ferret's just saying she got a lot accomplished today. Yeah, I just like the chocolate. Yeah, well, that one I get off on easy. I don't like the chocolate. Never have liked chocolate all that much. But since I do know a lot of people like the chocolate, I figure, hey, I'm not taking away from them. But here's the question I was going to ask you. Now, of course, we're going to be looking at this week. We're going to be looking at foundation, spiritual, personal, societal, off-world, and creative. Okay, the thing I found when we revamped this, and I turned it over to Storm, and to Storm to run the background on this. Okay, and we moved over to StreamYard. I figured, okay, I can change topic every week and try and figure out what all is going on, or we can bring it all together. And just like I've always told you, I think, the reality of it is all things are connected. Every religion out there is part of a much bigger picture. And you can tell this because once you start studying the different religions, you'll find they all teach essentially the same thing. And I know that's going to tick somebody off. Okay, but understand something very important. We are talking about my opinion. And like I said, it cannot be wrong. Facts may be wrong. You get to prove the facts. Because I'm thinking there aren't many of you that were here 2,000 years ago, and I don't remember when Buddha showed up. Okay, but I will tell you, I don't think many of you are older than 100 years if you're that old. What do we got here? What do we got? Joe's going, well, I didn't go to Good Friday Mass. I have my reasons why for that. But I did watch on YouTube Live Divine Mercy, Good Friday, a 2-hour live stream earlier. Hey, the neat part there, Joe, just to put that in perspective, in my opinion, church is a church, temple, circle, whatever, is a great way to see brotherhood. But the church itself, or where you worship, that's up to you. Okay. And I can go over quoting all sorts of things. I'm not going to bother. But I am going to ask you this. Whoever your creator is. Okay. Where are we here? Oh. Woo Rider has said CERN released a statement saying they captured a 4D phantom in their Hadron Collider. Well, I know about the Hadron Collider. I'm just curious how they captured anything 4D. And it's got to be a terminology problem. Now, this is Good Friday. Let me ask you this. If we're looking at the religious foundation, at your spiritual foundation, understand every one of you is equally important as the next. Okay, but whatever your belief, whatever your focus is, as far as who you worship, who you pray to, in your eyes, is your behavior of the world around you, yourself, and the people you come in contact with. Is your way of treating them something your creator would approve of? If the answer is no, then you might want to rethink, okay, just exactly what you're up to, and whether or not you're going to find the way to peace that you're hoping for. Now, I will tell you this: the way I treat things, I treat everybody the same way, okay, with individual differences depending on who they are. But never do I look down on somebody unless they're shorter than I am. And rest assured, there ain't that many. I'm only 8. Okay, I get a little bit of a boost by wearing boots that have an extra inch on them. But unless I am taller than somebody, the other issue. If they're laying down or sitting down, I'm standing up, I will look down on them. Okay, and that is simply the way that goes. But we do have to remember, I should get a seatbelt here and just lock it to the chair so that I can't actually lean forward and screw up my own stream. Yeah, LA, that's the neat part about it. LA's going, we all celebrate and give thanks in our own ways. Absolutely. And the neat part about it is, as long as you're respecting other people, what difference does it really matter if you do things exactly the same way? I mean, let's face it. If you're looking at a plate of food, some of you insist on a little fork and a big fork. Okay. Yeah. Storm goes, I'm 6'5" in my boots. Have no choice but to look down on most people. Pretty much. But the important factor is that you, like myself, don't treat anybody differently just because they're shorter than you. You know, it's a good thing too, because my other half is only 5'1". So I'm going to end up looking down on her anyway. But, you know, it's like I've told my boys, and I told them this right from the get-go. What you wear, what your hair looks like, doesn't matter. What matters is how you treat the people around you. Now, I'm in the one thing, here we go. Yeah. LA is 5'2", Ferret's 5'4". You know, so I mean, we all come in different shapes and sizes. No, we are not going to get into size descriptions. We can safely say that the basketball that I carried around under my shirt for a while has been deflated. Okay. Now, you know, with this in mind, like I said, when we start looking at the spiritual balance here, at the spiritual foundation, we all have the ability to create a world that we can be happy with, or one that we can be absolutely miserable in. The choice is yours. Okay, I'm here to turn the lights on and say, hey, here's a question I got for you. Are you doing this? The way you're treating the people around you, are you treating them in a way you desire to be treated? Okay, if you are not, it is, in my opinion, absolutely imperative you start shifting the way you're treating people. You start shifting the way you're doing that you're pursuing your goals. Because if you're treating people poorly, okay, how can you possibly, in any rational standpoint, okay, how can you possibly expect to be treated better? In fact, just going, you know, the rest is subject to change. Weight comes up, weight goes down. And I will tell you, my weight goes up slowly and comes down in a real hurry if I'm going up the stairs and not paying attention. Other than that, it's a pretty stable path. I'm still working at dropping my weight, but you know what I'm not doing is working on changing my perception of people in general. I'd love to say I was, but I'll tell you, I had something go on today. Okay, I had a discussion today that finally made things make sense, and this is why I said we're not. Why we go? Elaine goes, well, LA, let me put it this way. I mean, LA's just going, I'm 5'2". Does this make me a mouse? I don't know. Do you have a tail that hangs out behind you and whiskers on your face? You know, the one thing you might have, in my opinion anyway, is you may have a penchant for cheese. And I have no idea why the little guys like that so much, but what the heck. But I was having a discussion with my other half this morning and came to an interesting conclusion. You know, don't ask how we got to this side of it, and the mouse, of course, brings it back to the line anyway. Don't ask how I came to this conclusion, but we were talking away, and it suddenly hit me. Lemmings, okay, those funny little suicidal hamsters. Okay, once every 4 years, they all start running in the same direction. Okay, now scientists have revealed that every 4 years their physical food gets toxic. Okay, now it's not always it's not always the lead lemming that starts. Sometimes it's another lemming in the crowd that all of a sudden decides it's going to run. And then you get a mass of lemmings racing after it, and sometimes you end up with the lead lemming getting up and running. He's running like a monkey, just trying to catch up. He's going, I must hurry and catch up, for I am their leader. Oh, LA goes, I have a rather fat funny, and I'm post-menopausal. The occasional whisker shows occasionally. Oh, there you go. Yeah, doesn't it though, Storm? So all of a sudden they're racing. They're racing after each other. Nobody's paying attention to where they're going. Nobody thinks to pay attention to where they're going. Now, this is where it got really, really screwy. Okay, this is where it got really screwy while we were discussing it. Watch humans. Okay, and especially now that you brought that up there, Storm, especially where it comes to politics. It's not always a leader that starts the movement. Sometimes it's one of the people in the crowd. But all of a sudden, every 4 years, okay, and this seems to go on a lot further than 4 years, but every 4 years, somebody starts running like a monkey, just heading off into nowhere, not paying attention to where they're going, not looking at the signs on the road, not looking at the signs in nature. They're running just as fast as they can go. Everybody going the same direction. I must hurry and catch up, for I am their leader. And what do? Wall. Or you run on the ground and you're off the edge of the cliff. Does this not sound very similar to what lemmings are doing? Except lemmings don't tend to run into the wall. They tend to change direction. Okay, but in all fairness to them, the walls they're running into, to humans, would be a lot shorter. But are you following the person in front of you because that's what you're supposed to be doing? Or are you that one little lemming that all of a sudden stops in the middle of the run, and it's been documented? All of a sudden, one of these little guys stops and goes, "What's everybody running for? Where are they going to? I got to find out," and he heads the other direction. Every now and again, we have a human that does that. They will stop following the leader. They'll stop running blindly into whatever is being propagated or whatever is being said. Oh, Ellie goes, "You forgot the screaming." Well, yeah, but then I like the quiet. And besides that, it's like I've told people, I desire to pass away quietly in my sleep like my grandmother did, not screaming in terror like the passengers in their car. But every now and again, you'll get this lemming that stops. And he'll sit there and everybody will rush by him and he's going like, "What's the hurry?" And then he may slowly walk forward or go a different direction altogether. But eventually, one of them gets to the edge of the cliff. The running's all stopped and everybody's standing there now. And this one guy comes up, looks over the edge of the cliff and goes, "Well, I wonder if that's called falling with grace." And then he carries on about his life. Now, how mankind has managed to do what the lemmings have done and continue to thrive, pretty much is said, I heard it said one day, and I'm not repeating it. There is a reason for it. A little bit carnal in nature, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, but when you're looking to follow your whoever you worship, your spiritual guide, your spiritual leader, are you following them because you believe what they're telling you? Or are you following them because everybody around you is following them and you don't want to stand out and draw the spotlight to yourself? Okay, some people have no option but to draw the spotlight to themselves. Very much like when you see a herd of deer running along. Okay, and they're all brown, they're all beautiful, they're all sleek, the whole 9 yards. And you get this one genius that says, "Hey, I'm going to be different." He comes out albino. Okay. And all of a sudden, everybody's looking at him differently. Are you the albino that is just trying to stand out? Or are you the little black chicken? Because I've seen this myself, whether it's a black chicken or a white chicken. Okay. The chickens get born. Some come out white, some come out black. Hate to tell you this, they come out from the same parents. Okay. So we have a pigmentation problem. But just like chickens. People look at the skin color of somebody and go, oh, that's evil because it doesn't match mine. Tell you, grow up colorblind. You'll find everybody that is not a definitive albino or Numenorian black person. Everybody's gray. Okay. Now, I love the way that Bill Cosby put it. Okay. Bill Cosby, he was doing a rendition one day. He was a bus driver. Okay. And I heard this this was back in the 70s. So I'd have been in my early teens. Okay. Bill Cosby comes on and he goes, yeah, I'm a bus driver. And, we had black people, we had Hispanics, we had Orientals, we had Caucasians, we had Native Americans. And bear in mind, I am paraphrasing this. Okay. He says, and they're all screaming at each other, all fighting each other in the back of my school bus. Now, I'm the bus driver. So he said, I pulled over to the side of the road and he goes, that's it. Everybody out. Everybody off my flaming bus. So everybody gets off the bus. He says, now line up against the front of the bus, up against the side of the bus. All of you, get in line. I've had enough of this garbage of you guys being a different color. Okay, or you guys being different than each other. You're all going to the same school. You've all got parents. So every one of you is the same. He goes, now, no longer are you black, brown, white, gray. Doesn't matter. Yellow. Doesn't matter what color. You're all green. That's it. Y'all got it? Everybody's green. Every one of you. Doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter who your parents are. You're all green. There is no color differentiation. Now, everybody at the back of the bus. Okay, all of you, one at a time. Back on the bus. Get seated. Dark greens to the back of the bus. Light greens to the front of the bus. You're all the same color. Okay. Now, the way you treat the people around you. Okay. Are you treating them the way you desire to be treated? Okay. Are you being polite to the people around you? It really is the ultimate question that you got to look at yourself for. Somebody's been drinking my coffee. I'm going to blame him. And yes, you can tell it's a him. I was going to say you can tell it's a him, but that's a her. If you look at the picture on that, that's a female. You can tell by the smoother features. The male theta reticulans tend to be they tend to have a little bit more of a stony appearance to their face. Okay, just like male humans tend to be a little stockier or a little, blunter, if you will, in appearance. Now, I'm looking at this being Good Friday. I was only reminded of it being Good Friday today, when my son got up. I missed it altogether. So when we're talking about this being off the cuff, even when I was asked right before setup, are we doing a Good Friday show? Well, I'm going to call it Good Friday because it's Friday. And tomorrow it'll be a good Saturday morning, assuming, of course, that, that I can wake up in the morning and I'm not dead again. I've done that before. It was a royal pain in the neck. But when you think about it, if you pay any attention to the stories, okay, if you look at Good Friday, everybody says it's Good Friday, and you really have to question. Okay, now I'm going to tick somebody off. I'm absolutely certain of this, but I'm just asking a question. It was a Good Friday for most people. How good of a Friday do you think it was for him and for he himself? The one that everybody's celebrating Good Friday for, or so many are. Okay, but the important factor that you got to keep in mind is essentially he came here to say one thing: get along, be nice to each other. Now, when you take a look at the population in general on this planet, are they getting along? Okay, are you getting along with your neighbors? And let's not go the route of, well, my neighbor is being a problem. Well, Probably is. When was the last time you actually talked to him without actually having a problem? Him or her or it. I don't care. Okay. And it's not so much I don't care. But let's face it. I hear so many people telling me, oh, the world's going to heck in a handbasket. Bad news, guys, it already did. Somebody didn't get the memo out there. Okay. You look at the way the world is working right now. This is not what I call paradise. Just dawned on me. Give me 5 seconds here. I will be right back. I don't have to go that far. Told you my brain sometimes gets ahead of my body. And then my body tries to catch up. Remember that thing called, that statement of I am their leader and, I must hurry and catch up for I am their leader? Now, yes, I am twisted beyond belief in a lot of ways. Okay, but here's the kicker. Now, when you look at this world, okay, if you believe that that's the way Good Friday runs, and I don't have a problem with it, I'm a believer in it. Like I said, I believe in Christ, I believe in God. I'm just not going to tell you that they're better than everybody else. Now, all of these are dice. Okay, I'm a gamer too. And guess who created gaming? And no, by the way, it wasn't Gary Gygax. At least not if you believe that one person created it all. But here's the paradise I work with. You'll notice they're not matched. Okay, that's a paradise. Okay, this one's 12-sided, this one's 10-sided. This is also a paradise. Okay, 10-sided and 8-sided. But let me point something out. Okay, if I take a look at paradise, okay, I take this paradise, I roll it, they roll comfortably on the floor, they don't argue with each other, they simply get along. Are you getting along with the people around you, regardless of their background, regardless of their skin color or their religious belief, or for that matter, who they're sleeping with? Okay. Essentially, if you're looking at the world, let me see here. Now, there's a cute thought. Joe, you just gave me a brilliant idea. Well, I consider it brilliant. I don't know if you do. But like we all know, I make notes to make sure. Whoop. Oh, I'm going to ignore that because they always ignore me. There is a phone call I will have to take when it comes in, but it boils down to grabbing the phone and going upstairs and letting my munchkin in. The funny thing is there, LA, that nobody on this planet, nobody in existence is perfect. Okay. And I know that's going to set somebody off. Okay. But I'll tell you what, every person I've run into that has said, I'm perfect. Okay. I have noticed things there's always something hidden. Okay. There's always something that gets withheld from the world. Now, I am not perfect myself. I can give you a list of found flaws that are 1.5 miles long in my case. Of course, you may have to write pretty big. It's like I tell people, I was wrong once. I really was. I thought I was wrong, and I wasn't. The thing that we have to look at is this should be a time for celebration. Unless in this case, you're the one that's being celebrated, because he had a bad day that day. As a matter of fact, as I recall, he had kind of a bad week. Fairness, if memory serves correctly, it was closer to 2 or 3 weeks. But it all kind of runs together when you get beat on that much. Much like many of you, unfortunately, have gone through in your own childhoods and maybe going through now. When you look in the mirror, do you feel like you're being beaten on? Do you feel like you're being flayed by society or disregarded and kicked under the carpet? Okay. If this is the feeling that you've got, the first question I always look at is, in your eyes, what have you done? What did you do? What happened that you may have triggered, whether you did it intentionally or unintentionally? And let us understand something very, very important here. If anybody is being abused, I don't care who's doing the abusing. The fact of the matter is, whatever was said, whatever was done, is no reason for abuse. Okay, it just isn't. Not my eyes. And this claim that people make of, oh, I'm following this spiritual path, and you still turn around and treat people like garbage, you may not be following quite as spiritual path as what you think. Oh, Joe, sorry, missed someone. I am in the process, because Christmas for me this year I am absolutely intending on it being different. Okay. I'm absolutely intending on this year being different. Now, to me, gifts are not what make Christmas. What makes Christmas, okay, and it ties right to the whole idea of Good Friday. But what makes Christmas is the sense of family. Now, to this end, I've been divorced now for 16 years. It'll be 16 years this Christmas that I will be divorced. And yet, every Christmas, I buy the food, my ex-wife cooks the meal, and all of us go over and have Christmas dinner at her place. Okay. And again, this is because, yes, our marriage didn't work. But we got to remember, marriage wasn't designed by, well, as far as I understand it, and I'm pretty certain somebody in the chat room will know this one. Okay. As far as I understand it, marriage itself was invented by the Romans as a way of tracking taxation. Okay. Personally, I look at it from a numerological standpoint. When you change your name, when you get married and you change your name, okay, it changes the energy about you. This is one of the big and one of the fundamental differences and changes brought about by marriage, and that will change all kinds of things, but it won't change the core person. Now, if you're following somebody, and I sat in one church in particular that literally the pastor at the front of the church stood there, okay, and now bear in mind, in the church they tell you God loves everyone. We are all brothers, we are all sisters. This one pastor stood in front of his congregation and he goes, if you don't believe in this one God, you are subhuman and should be treated as such. Okay, now, to me, there's a major problem there, but there was a bigger one. Because that same day I went in there. Now, I got no problem with people singing to whatever purpose they have in mind, as long as you're not promoting beating on people and shooting the next door neighbor, or anybody for that matter. But these people were singing in a church, and you'll love this. Now, normally you sing in the church, you clap your hands, you raise your hands to the skies and what have you. These people, I kid you not, they're singing away, they're clapping their hands, and all of a sudden everybody takes the right hand and puts it up into the air, and towards this same pastor. They put up only one hand, the right hand, palm towards him. Now, I don't know about you, but there was a really bad connotation there. Now, I don't go to church, period. Okay, at least not the building. I spend my time interacting with people, doing what I can. Am I happy with the way I'm treating people? Absolutely. Am I happy with the way that I think about them on occasion? Certainly not. We're not going to go into that. We're just not going to go into the way I look at people on occasion. I've done my best to bite my tongue on that one. Yeah. And then it goes, my ex and I get on better now than we did when we were married. That's the thing. So, a marriage is great. And I am still planning on having a second wife. Or more to the point, a second marriage. My first wife and I were done. But we get along. I am planning on getting married again. But the thing is, I told her right from the get-go, when we got together 3 years ago, that I was going to ask her to marry me one day. Okay. Do I put a lot of weight behind the idea of marriage? Absolutely, but it's got nothing to do with the government. Okay. Ask yourself, though, the way you're treating people, is this the way you desire to be treated? Are you behaving in a way that you feel your creator would look down on you and smile and pat you on the head and go, good person, you're doing a great job? Or are they the one sitting there going, good person, you're doing a good job? Now, why the heck aren't you kicking the stuffing out of that guy over there? Because he's not the same color as you are. Or he doesn't believe in exactly the same thing you believe in. Now, I'm betting dollars to donuts. I'm going to get some genius sending me a letter. Chad, how are you? Glad you could join us. And where are we here? As a matter of fact, I should have done something. Actually, did I see? I don't think I've seen Nathan come in here yet. But let me see. Grab that and we pop that up. And we scroll down here and we look for Chad. This is the live stream for Chad. Both to his live stream and his, and the archives. So drop in, give him a listen. Give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. And do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Now, it's funny. You may have noticed I've leaned forward towards my computer, but I'm doing my best to stay back. Okay, because it seems every time I get too close to my computer, the poor thing has a coronary. Now, from my standpoint, it's real simple. I came back to remind you all the same thing. Every one of you, not a one of you is different. Okay. Every one of you is as valuable as the next person. You all have the right to be heard. Okay. But in this chat room, I'm not about to entertain the idea of, our world's going to end. Our world is going to end. Okay. Near as I can figure, like a buddy of mine's been tracking it with Sands. Every now and again, he comes up with, well, at the rate the sun is burning, it's going to be about another 5 or 6 billion years, before it dies. And when that happens, rest assured, you're all dead. It's that simple. But I look at it going, okay, since we can safely say we're going to die, the question is not, are you going to die? The question is, and this is a beautiful day to bring it up, really, when you think about the connotation, are you going to get up and start your life over and actually live? Now, clearly, you're not coming out of your mother's womb again. Okay. But are you going to wake up and go, okay, this is Good Friday. So we look in the mirror, we go, good, it's Friday. This is the first day of the rest of your life. Are you going to use it to perpetuate negative belief or negative instruction or negative input? Or are you going to sit there and start to live your life focusing on positive perspectives, on positive perceptions, on the better things in life? There's a simple way of looking at it. Minimize the negative, maximize the positive. Okay. Now, with this in mind, okay, I know for myself, I'm redesigning a lot of things or designing it in the first place because I'm not content. I was looking at it. Now, I've mentioned I'm going to be replacing these bookshelves. Bookshelves over there. Turning myself around can be a real fun trick. The guy from the Hokey Pokey had it down to a fine art. And that was great. About a couple of years back, he ended up dying. The guy that wrote the Hokey Pokey. Everything went fine until they went to put him in the casket. And, they put the right leg in and he put the right leg out. And it just went downhill from there. Now, when you think about it, how you look at life is absolutely the most important thing that you can bring to the table. When you enter a room, like I make sure everybody's happy when I leave. Most people, they're happy. Some people, I should say, are happy when I arrive. Everybody else, they're happier when I leave. Okay, but I'm still making every single person happy. I do what I can. I cannot, and you cannot. You cannot control, in all likelihood, how other people feel. Now, some of you are very strong empaths, meaning you physically pick up and broadcast what you're feeling and what other people are feeling. With this in mind, okay, are you doing your best to treat other people the way you desire to be treated? For whatever reason. Okay, the fact of the matter is, how you treat people is going to come back. Okay, the important thing we have to take a look at is when we look at this being Friday, there's TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if goodness has anything to do with it. What I do know is that every week, Friday comes around. Okay, every single day is the first day of the rest of your life. It's up to you whether you decide you're going to continue looking at the world going, oh, my life is a mess, it's miserable, I've got no hope. Are you going to keep looking at your life that way? Or are you going to go, okay, enough is enough. I'm getting off my chair and I'm starting to do something. I'm starting to figure out how to live. Okay, now, what is happening for me is very simple. I am waking up. I'm finally figuring out I'm finally almost 61 years. Okay, it took me almost 61 years to figure out it isn't all about me. Okay, it's not me that has to change your life. Yes, I am here to turn the lights on. Absolutely. I am here to turn the lights on and go, hey, by the way, you're walking down a hallway. There's a pit in the floor. The lights are off. You're not going to see it. Once I turn the light on, it's up to you whether or not you walk over into that pit or you trip over that chair. Are you turning the lights on around people? Or are you doing, the other thing? Now, when I was growing up, before gaming got into play, okay, there was an old saying that when I know most of you know what these are. There was this neat little saying, the most dangerous toy in a child's bedroom is Lego. And if you've got kids and grew up back in the 70s or even now, if you've ever stopped and stepped on a Lego piece, they hurt like a monkey. They really do. There's another word for that. But I'll tell you, once you get gamers in the house, this is far more dangerous, far more painful. Okay, I don't think I can show it to you properly. That is a four-sided die. And I'm telling you, they land on the flat side, which means it points straight up. If you have ever had Lego in your house and you stepped on it, guaranteed it's painful. Try stepping on a four-sided die. Okay. Gamers always, diehard gamers, have a handful of these poor little things. Also known as caltrops, people. Yes, I've got a twisted outlook on life. Okay. But you got to realize, okay, and you don't have to believe this. I have to believe it. Now, years ago, okay, my brother, who is currently deceased, and I think he's going to stay that way for a while. Okay. He's been dead for a couple of years, and I haven't heard of him getting out of his grave yet. Or off the shelf where he was cremated. Actually, I don't think he was cremated on the shelf. But I sat down with him, and I asked him about it, and I'm not going to tell you which one. I asked him, now this is the brother that I've got, that I had. Yeah, no doubt. Storm goes, D4, also known as the caltrop. Oh, absolutely, LA. Balls and jacks are definitely a lesson in pain and agony. You know, I don't know if you guys know I ever saw them. Some of you my age may well have. There used to be a hard plastic target. Okay. There used to be a hard plastic target with little tiny plastic spikes, all one mold. Okay, and you'd take a styrofoam ball, and I know you guys have seen those. You'd take a styrofoam ball, you'd throw it at this target, just like a dartboard. Okay, and you'd stick the styrofoam ball to the target. Now, we found now with a dartboard, it falls on the floor, it lays flat. Worst case scenario, you stub your toe on it. But with these targets, they were the same size, but they had spikes that were about that long. Okay. My little sister was running through the room. Somebody had left that on the floor. She went 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, floor. Okay. Because it was like 1 foot, 2 foot, no foot, floor. She did a face plant. We had to peel the spike board off her feet. Okay. Now I understand. We all knew. That was a case of there was an accident. Nobody went, oh, the toy maker made a terrible toy. Let's sue the toy maker. My parents looked at it and went, well, you should have picked that up. Let's deal with the feet. And mom and dad sent, understandably at 3 years old, the poor little munchkin was screaming her lungs out. Okay, thankfully she didn't succeed. But mom and dad took care of it, bandaged her feet up, cleaned out the wounds, bandaged her feet up, and we went about our day. Nobody ever considered going to the courts and going, oh, the toy maker made a terrible toy. Nobody banned the toy. Okay. And this is the thing. This is why I say, are you finding, if you believe in a spiritual guide, in a creator, are you behaving in a way that you feel your creator would be happy about? Okay. That's just the reality of the question. Not what do you call him? Okay. I mean, if you think about it, I call that a pen. In the old, in the years ago, they used to call it a stylus. I don't know, it didn't have any style for me then either. But take a look in the mirror. Take a look in your own heart. Are you treating people the way you desire to be treated? Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I do trust your day has been good. It's funny. I keep looking at things. I keep looking at the way this world is going. I'm going like, how can so many people continue to walk down the same road? And that's when it hit me. They're doing the same thing the lemmings do. Oh, I think I missed something here. There we go. There we go. Joe's going, that's right. It's Eastern time here. And it's almost April. It will stay on lighter out longer by day, which means the paranormal is less active. No, just less visible. And in my opinion, from what I've seen, Joe, I've never seen a decrease in paranormality. Of course, we are talking about a house where things get moved around that aren't being moved by people and get put in really bizarre places. Okay, but this is one of those days where it would be wise to take a look at the man in the mirror and ask yourself, are you treating people, oh, there we go, John, I'm just finishing on what Joe did. Joe's gone, but then it got dark at 6, and then it got dark at 6, and I was like, here we go. Looked out that upstairs windows periodically, all the time. Like, for me, seeing the paranormal is just plain normal. Okay, it happens often enough. It's no longer paranormal. But we gotta look at the world and decide, are we content with it? Now, I'm not content with my world, so I'm changing it. Okay, I am literally rebuilding it. I did end up, things got a little screwy today. I went down to the mall. I don't handle crowds well. I handle incompetence less well. And I'll tell you, what I saw in the mall today was absolutely appalling. Nobody that was working there was approaching us when we were looking for something. And the ones that did approach did not know the layout of their own store, much less the articles that were in it. Okay, now, this is why I say we have to start looking at who you're following as a leader. Now, I'm not talking about who you're voting for. Okay, not only. But who are you paying attention to? Are you listening to people that are telling you the world is a miserable place? You're all, if you don't believe exactly what I say, you're going to hell. I'll tell you, I believe, and I'm pretty certain there's somebody in this room that can tell us this one, but I am pretty certain that hell itself, during the Civil War, referred to a 2-foot grave because they didn't have time to bury the dead. Okay. And rest assured, if they were dead, they were done with. But, when you're getting told you're going to hell, I got told one day, I need to learn tact. And I looked at the friend that told me, and I said, tact? And she goes, yeah, the ability to tell somebody to go to hell and have them looking forward to being on to the trip. I said, I got one problem with that. She goes, what? What's so difficult about it? I said, if I'm mad enough to tell somebody where to go, why do I care whether they're looking forward to it? She just looked at me and went, there's no hope for you. The reality of it is, I gave up on hope a long time ago. She was a nice lady, but she went on her own way. And no, I didn't date her. Didn't date Charity either. But on the other hand, I do know a young lady named Peace. But, a name is just a name. What you call your creator. Whatever name you call it. Be my guest. Doesn't make any difference to me. But I do caution you. Don't be like the one gentleman that I grew up with. Okay. His parents noticed a bit of a discrepancy in his thinking process. Okay. He would go into the cupboard under the stairs. Okay. And why they had a light bulb under the stairs to start with, I don't know. But this young lad would go into the cupboard under the stairs, and every night he would pray to the light bulb. Okay. Now, his parents spotted this tendency and made an absolute habit, regular clockwork, of changing the light bulb every 2 weeks while he was asleep. So that it was always right. It was always lit. Well, that went on. The kid was actually, if I recall the age correctly, he was somewhere between 22 and 23 years old. He was underneath the closet, and he was praying to the light bulb. The light bulb, his parents had forgotten to change the light bulb. Whatever had been going on, they forgot. So this kid is under the staircase, praying to a light bulb, down there, hands down on his knees, hands clasped together, like so many people when your children are taught to pray. He's sitting down there, he's looking at the light bulb, and he's praying. And he's praying like he always has. For 2 decades, he's been praying. The light bulb burnt out. Are you worshiping a light bulb? Because I'll tell you, when his light bulb burnt out, his mind snapped, and they had no choice but to put him in a care facility. Question is, when the person that you're following, the one you're praying to, the one you're calling your creator, are you worshiping a light bulb that is sooner or later going to burn out when you realize that you're not being taught? If you're being taught prejudice, fear, a better than thou attitude, money is everything, you got to have this stuff. If that's what you're being taught, the Egyptians used to think the same thing. I'm going to live forever. There's a song like that. And they buried all their material stuff with them because they were taking it to the next world. Well, it's amazing, none of those Egyptians that were buried inside pyramids, none of them were sitting there when the pyramid was up and going, hey guys, thanks for opening the door, it got stuck. Not a one of them. But every one of them, all the stuff was left behind. Okay. Now, of course, you can ask the question, well, they didn't find many skeletons unless they were in sarcophagi. But let's face it, none of them walked out of there. If you've got a bunch of stuff in your hands, keep it straight. You're not taking it with you. It's just not going. The best thing you can do is treat people around you, treat the world, treat the environment the way you desire to be treated. So that when you leave, because you will die, get over it. It's going to happen. Some of us just get a better run at it. I mean, let's face it, I've had a lot more practice than many of you. At dying, I mean. No, I'm not going to prove it. Okay? And since a lot of it happened when I was on a military base, you find the proof. But, and that brings me back to that other thing. That little story I started way earlier. Okay? That little story, I laid this whole thing out about one lifetime in particular. No, I'm not telling you which one. Okay, so don't bother asking because I'll tell you right now, I'm not telling you. But I laid it out. I said, look, I don't need to know if this is real. I don't need you to tell me whether or not what I'm talking about happened. All I require is for you to listen to what I'm telling you and then look at it as though, okay, it really happened. Just like a UFO report. Okay. Treat the person telling you like it really happened. Okay. All I require is what do I do with the information? I will be right back to finish that. You didn't come. You mean over the gun? Huh? Oh, good. Oh, that's fine. I left it open. I see that. You came down quietly. Love you. Like I've always said, family first. And since my munchkin's home, I had to deal with that. Now, I told him flat out, I said, okay, I just require knowledge as to what to do with this. What is going on? I laid it out for him. 3 hours. Okay, I laid out multiple reference points. And at the end of it all, now bear in mind, my mom and dad were sitting on the couch with him while I was telling this to them. I told all three of them together. At the end of it, Ken turned around, my older brother, he's passed away. He looks at me and goes, okay, here's the thing. You're talking about past life memory. I'm going to cure that. Okay, kiddo, I'm going to have to Interrupting the signal. Thanks. Okay, I was going to leave the door closed, but apparently not. Let's see if that helps. Anyway, at the end of it all, Ken looks at me and he goes, okay, look. He says, you're talking about past life memories. And when we're talking about past life, there is no way in today's world you're getting physical proof. Okay. So he says, I said, great. He says, so you have to work with circumstantial evidence. But to be clear, we are talking about the type of evidence the police use to work on a case to figure out guilt or innocence with a lack of evidence. I said, okay, that's understood. He said, okay, you have enough circumstantial evidence for this particular past life to convict somebody of murdering an individual where the victim died 100 years before the accused was born. I said, fantastic. So what am I supposed to do with that? My brother looks at me and he goes, well, he says, I suggest you live your life as though that whole memory is real. And you carry on living your life that way. But keep your eye open for that one piece of information that derails the whole 9 yards, because it may or may not exist. Now, just to make matters more complicated, on my dad's deathbed, he corroborated everything that I'd gone through and flat out told me it was all real. And again, I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. What I am here to do is ask you one simple question. Are you treating people, especially on today of all days, are you treating people the way that your creator would look down on you, would look at you and go, you're doing a good job. You should be proud. I'm going to let you come home. Or are you treating people the way that he's going to look at you and go, are you out of your flaming mind? That's why we put that other place there for you. You know, can you stand up and proudly say, this is what I've been doing? Okay, this is the way I've treated people. Or are you having to hide your face in shame at the way you've looked at people, at the way you've treated people, whether they believe the same thing you do or not? Okay, or and this is why I say, are you that lemming that stops and looks at what's going on around? What the heck are you people running from? What are you running towards? And did you think about the outcome? At the end of the rush, this lone lemming walks over to the edge of the cliff, looks down at all the bodies, looks at the couple of friends that stopped along with him, and goes, not a good call. Okay, because there are, that one lemming stops, that one person stops, and goes, what are you up to? Okay, some people will absolutely stop and see what's going on. Now, I performed an experiment myself years ago. About 20 years ago now. I was in a crowded fair. Okay. And I'm standing there, and there's a whole pile of people, and we're all standing on the ground, pointing and a lot of people are pointing at the sky and talking amongst themselves. And we must have had 100 people or so out of thousands, all standing in this cluster, staring at the sky, pointing at the sky, talking to each other. And this one guy comes up to me and he stops and he goes, what's everybody looking at? And I was looking up at the sky myself. I turned my attention to him. I looked him dead in the eye and I says, well, I can't speak for them. Okay. I can't tell you what they're all looking at. I can tell you what I was looking at. He said, okay, what were you looking at? I was looking to see how long it was going to take me staring at the sky to have a bunch of people staring at the sky beside me. I said, it's about 10 minutes. He can look at me and goes, you are twisted. You know that. I said, I'm not the one looking at the sky pointing at things. I was just looking at the sky. You yourself cannot, in all likelihood, control how other people are going to perceive you. Okay. You can only count on how you perceive yourself, how you treat others. I long held, I do not desire to be on a pedestal. Okay. It's just not my thing. And I held back from doing any of this work for the longest time for exactly that reason. And then I finally was talking to a chap one day, and I went, I look, and he looked at me and goes, Keith, you cannot control whether other people put you on a pedestal. You can't do it. The key is never see yourself as being on that pedestal. Okay. I am not better than anybody. And like I said, the only people I'm going to look down on are either shorter than I am, or I'm standing and they're sitting or laying down. I will look down on those people. Okay. But the reality that you have to look at, with today being Good Friday, okay, of all days, this is the day to ask, are you treating people the way your creator says you should be treating people? Are you treating the environment the way your creator has taught you, or how you were taught your creator says you should treat the environment? Okay. Or are you doing like so many people that are going about it doing their own thing for their own reasons? I have come to the conclusion in almost 61 years, I've come to a very firm conclusion. There are approximately 1% of the population that makes things happen. These are the ones that people seem to call elites, but they're not the same elites, by the way. About 1% of the population makes things happen. You'll get about 4% of the population that will either join in and help things happen, or they will be inspired by one of the 1% to start something of their own. That leaves 95% of the population that are standing around wondering what happened. Are you one of the 1%, the 4%, or the 95%? That's your call, not mine to decide. Okay. One of the brightest minds and one of the brightest comments I ever heard, okay, was from a gentleman, and the gentleman had been classified as mentally retarded. By the way, I know that's a foul word. Oh, slap my face, beat me black and blue, whatever. The man didn't think as quickly as other people thought he should. And he was asked, do you understand the legal system? And this kid, I kid you not, looked right in the mirror in the camera, and he goes, absolutely. Well, can you explain it to other people and to our audience? This kid turns around and goes, well, certainly. He who tells the biggest lies wins. Are you one of the people that buy into the deceptions? Or are you one of the people that stand there and go, this is what I believe for my reasons? And, can you even, for that matter, figure out what your reasons are? I don't like yogurt. I don't like yogurt because I don't like the texture of it. Now, ironically, I like sour cream. Don't know why there's a difference. But what the heck? But, this is, when we look at it, this world that we're living in right now has the potential of either being a really, really good world. We can have paradise on earth here. We really can. The question is, do you desire it enough to change your behavior away from anything that is counterproductive? Are you one of these people that's willing to look in the mirror and go, I'm not content? Okay. Now, I will continue telling people, I'm not going to follow a standard rule. I'm not going to follow a standard path. The standard path I've seen leads to a cliff. I'm not happy with the idea. Granted, when I was a kid, I used to jump off sand cliffs all the time. Okay, I'm just not interested in doing that anymore. Of course, in all fairness, I also used to swim a lot and then I drowned and that kind of screwed up my interest. Question is, your life, whatever it is, however it's amounted to where it is, you cannot change what you've been through. You can learn from what you went through and decide, are you going to propagate that for other people? Or are you going to talk about, are you going to talk about things that you find that you yourself find depressing? Yes, they've got to be worked out. Yes, the bad things have to be announced so people are aware of them. Hence why I've returned to turn the light on and go, guys, you're walking into a pit. The edge of the cliff is right there. Okay? Or there's a chair right in front of you. Turn the lights on. And as the saying goes, and God said, let there be light. So he turned the lights on, he went blind, he shut the thing off again. Said, wait a minute. Bright light, just like the little gremlins. Okay? I'm here to turn on lights, not to make up your mind. You want to walk into a wall after the light's on? That's your call. But I warn you, it's painful. I've done that often enough. Kind of like not picking your feet up when you walk. If you've ever not picked your feet up and stubbed your toe, this is not an experience. And by the way, contrary to some people's belief, stubbing the other toe does not make the first one hurt less. One of the things we got to realize is that the way the world is going, we have a choice whether we're going to let it continue on the path it's been on. You start standing up amongst the lemmings racing towards the cliff. Are we going to start standing up and going, I'm no longer content? Okay, that's the thing we have to take a peek at. Really not that worried about it anymore. The funny thing about it is I was looking at this, and it's amazing. I'm just doing a quick cross correlation here. When I was talking about, strongly, a lot about what's going on out there, okay, when I was talking about so much in the way of the alien side of things, on Dave's show, absolutely, on Spaced Out Radio, I absolutely will. First Friday of every month, which, by the way, today is Friday, so that'll be next Friday. I will be back on Dave's show. Now, let me find something here. That. We will be back on Spaced Out Radio. Okay, with the ET connection. Now, the thing I was trying to get to was this. I turned around. I was looking at the numbers before. When we were talking about off-worlders, ancient races, the various different species out there, we were hitting in the mid-20s of people coming in. Okay. When we had all of your attention outside of the world, what's going on out there? Okay. We've shifted gears here. I'm looking at how you can make your life better. Not for me. Granted, I will end up benefiting from it. This world pain is smoothed out, and all of a sudden I don't have the same stress levels. But we're lucky if we get 10 in the room at the same time. This is just a symptom of what's going on in this world. Okay? Billions of people will sit and listen to somebody saying, you're all going to die. You're going to hell. The world's gone into chaos. We are shortages here, there, and everywhere. Okay? You get billions of people listening to this. Okay? I'm standing here, in spite of everybody rushing towards the same wall, I'm standing here going, guys, I think we're missing something. I think you've missed the point here. Okay. Why are you running in that direction? Yes, we're all going to die. Absolutely. Especially if you keep running towards the edge of the cliff. And I will tell you, the idea of live fast, die young, leave a good-looking corpse doesn't work well. Live fast, die young. Your corpse ain't going to be good-looking in all likelihood. Okay, a few of you, yes. Most of you, hitting the wall really fast. All that leaves is a paint smear. But if we get 10 people in the room now, listening to the idea that we can have a better world if we choose to do it, to make it that way, not if we await somebody else, whether it is your creator, some alien race, the government, the elites, anybody but yourself. The moment I sit here and say, you've got the ability, working together, to make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. And that's why I'm looking at the spiritual side today. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at the same idea. And maybe this is a good call, maybe it's a bad one. I don't know. What do you figure? Okay, this is a really weird question to ask. But what do you figure? Should I just give up on the idea of trying to point out that there is a place to go? Or, a way to change this. Or, I forgot to hit send. That there is the link today to Dave's Spaced Out Radio. Okay. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Now, the reality of it is this. We're down under 10 people. Okay. Less than half of what we were getting when I was going, here's the weird things to take your attention off. Okay. Instead of my saying, and that's where I was going with that. In your eyes, should I even bother? And I know that sounds like a really cold question. Okay. Should I even bother telling people, guys, you gotta turn the lights on. You gotta open your eyes and realize that working together, we can make this a better world than for virtually everybody, regardless of who's telling you otherwise. Okay, you got to remember the so-called elites, the so-called, the other nations, the other races. Okay, all of it. Nobody else can change the way you do things. They can certainly create circumstances where you're going to have to look at it. Okay, but in your eyes, is there a point to sitting here and saying, guys, we got to do something. We got to take control of this, of our own little world. Okay, I'm not happy with all the clutter in my house. Therefore, I do appreciate it, Christine. The good news is I honestly had no intention of shutting it down. I went through a period a couple of years back where I really fought with the idea. But every time I've thought about it, I get pretty much the same response. Okay, now I'm not happy with the way my room is. Okay, with the way my office is. Odd thing, I kept thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we were clean? They say thinking about it is as good as doing it. Nothing ever moved. Or at least never moved where it belonged. Okay, until I got off my tail feathers and moved. Okay, you've got the same option. So are you going to continue running with the lemmings, or are you going to stop, take a look, and see what's going on? What you could change in your immediate world. Okay, now I have been here a number of lifetimes passing on the same message. I'll tell you, talk about being stubborn. Some of what I went through, some of the times I showed up here, I was murdered, I was tortured, I was killed. I got locked up for literally the last several years of my life in one case, simply because I looked at the world And where everybody was seeing devastation, I was seeing beauty. Okay. And I had the audacity to tell people I was seeing beauty. And then I turned around and showed them. What did they do? The so-called elites locked me up and said, oh no, you're insane. Lock you up, put you out of our sight. Now, in my opinion, insanity is best described as repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Okay, oddly enough, I'm the living embodiment of that in a sense, except I'm not expecting a different outcome. I keep coming back here to tell people the same thing. You've got to start working together, because if you don't, you're going to run off the cliff. Okay, if you don't change your behavior, the outcome has happened several times, and I don't even know the numbers anymore. Okay, where society has bombed itself back to the dark ages. Now, with this in mind, I keep coming back doing the same thing time and time again. Different skin color, different clothing, different hair color. Let's face it, my hair used to be a lot darker. Okay, but I don't come back here expecting anybody to do it differently. I come back here fully expecting society to buckle. Okay, it's been repeated thousands of times over. Okay, where people follow the so-called elites, follow the so-called leaders. Okay, those leaders are simply the people getting to the edge of the cliff first. Okay, there is no religion that is better than the next. And yes, I know that goes against some of your beliefs. Do your research. Virtually every spiritual path that I've looked into teaches the same thing. Okay, they teach you with different words, different titles, different labels, different languages, but they all teach. Be nice to each other. Okay, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, whether we are talking a recent religion or we can go all the way back to the Syrian. Okay, where the idea came from, who cares? The first time I heard, thank you so much, Joe. The first time I heard the first time I heard the idea of that I heard from Wayne Gretzky. Okay, Wayne Gretzky made a comment. Okay, the hockey great. Now I don't understand why they took him off the Hockey Hall of Fame. In my opinion, I'm not a hockey fan. In anybody's opinion, I'm not a hockey fan. Okay, but Wayne Gretzky was a phenomenal hockey player. I heard him say, you may miss 95% of the shots you take, but you will miss 100% of the ones you don't take. Now, that's the guy I heard it from. Okay, turns out apparently Einstein said the same thing. Okay, but I heard it from Wayne. So Wayne got it from somebody. Everybody, there's a song that goes, every thought has already been thought. Everything, every story's been told. Every song's been written. Okay, but they haven't all been written by the same person. Okay, they are the same situation. I was listening to a song today, to a country song. Okay, that's called 700 Miles. I forget who the artist is. Okay, but it's a song called 700 Miles. It is country. It is on YouTube. Okay, but it talks about meeting in the middle. Okay, I think it's literally called Meet in the Middle. 1973, the Carpenters produced a song called Up, Up with People. It's time to start looking at the people around you, at the society around you, and realize everyone has something to offer. Everyone adds something extra to this world. As my father used to say, it would be a real boring place if we were all the same. Okay, the question you've got to ask, okay, whether you call yourself whatever religion you're following, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's face it. I am a professed Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Christ. That's simple and straightforward. One of my best friends. Okay, one of the people I can turn to. There's one. He decided. Now you'll love this span. One chap that I can talk to when I'm having troubles. He was told, go out and find your own religion. He studied demonology. One of my closest and one of the best of the people I can turn to when I have a problem happens to be full-blown admitted pagan. Okay. And the other one that I know, if I ever contact her with a problem, she'll have my back. She's a freaking hillbilly. Okay. I do not surround myself with people from one walk of life. When I talk about everyone being connected, most of the people that I used to game with, most of them had a criminal record. I have never even had a speeding ticket. Never mind anything worse. Okay. And no, I'm not perfect by any means. The fact I haven't had a speeding ticket does not mean that I never sped. I have no idea how I managed to avoid getting that. I also, by the way, in all my years of working, 50 of them to be frank, actually 51. Started when I was 9, finished when I was 60. Never, ever got fired. Threw every boss out of my work area without any thought about it, but never got fired. I'm not perfect. I've got a mouth on me that just does not quit half the time. Okay. And the other half is in full gear. When we take a look at it and you look at who you're following, if you're following a teaching that says that, if you're following somebody that says your God is a loving God, but your God condones leaving people starve on the street or condones the sick getting sicker. Okay. If your God is doing that, you might want to take a look at it and go, am I following the leader or am I following the lemmings? Okay, your call. I'm not the one to make that decision. I'm just here to say the path you're on, as so many times in the past. Great, Woo. Enjoy your meal. I managed to get my dinner in just before I went on shift. Before I came on live. The thing you've got to look at, okay, is are you following a leader that's leading you to the cliff? Excellent thought there, Woo. Absolutely excellent thought. I just about had fish today, but I couldn't bring myself to go into the restaurant. By the time I got there, it was too crowded. On the other hand, I can have seafood chowder, which I will probably do that a little later. Because like you, I have a tendency eating fish on Friday. Of course, in all fairness, I keep losing track of what day of the week it is. So that's a toss-up sometimes. Like I said, I didn't find out today was Good Friday until this morning. But here's the thing. We talk about it being Good Friday. We celebrate this event. Some people do. I'm telling you, the guy who it's celebrated for didn't have a good day that day. Okay. It was not a Good Friday for him. Okay. Yes, he got up in the world. He got to look down on people. Chad. Chad is asking, what's the coolest object you ever found without looking for it? That is an interesting trick. No, I'm going to have to say I hesitate to call it an object. Okay. But the coolest thing I ever found thus far, okay, And it's a real toss-up. Because I'll tell you, I used to think that it was my first wife. But at this point, it's my other half. There's always something better. There's always something worse. For me, okay, I don't actually put a lot of weight behind, but I will show you something here. And it's got a story behind it. This probably is something more along the lines of what you're talking about. This little item here, okay, it's a magnifying lens. But the story behind it is this. Oh, thank you so much, Christine. I appreciate that. In all fairness, I look at that literally. I didn't find it. I just told you where it was. You're the one that had to do the work, but thank you. This little magnifying lens. Okay. My dad showed up one day, and this thing was in my house. My dad looked at it. He goes, "When did you get that?" I said, "I don't know. It showed up in my stuff." I said, "Why? What's the problem?" He goes, "That was mine." I said, "Here, all yours." He goes, No. He says, "You keep it." Then he told me what happened. When my father was a mid-teenager, he and two of his buddies went up into the mountain. Okay. He went up into the mountain rather, and they found an old log cabin, run down, but wedged in between two of the logs. This magnifying lens was jammed in between them. So Dad dug it out, and as you can see, I don't think you can see. You'll notice the edges are kind of broken up. Okay, but Dad dug it out of the log cabin, took it home. He and his two buddies went home with it. It was at home for about a year, and then it went missing. Okay, Dad and one of the original guys ended up back at the cabin and pulled this out of the exact same place. Okay, out of the exact same place, out of the exact same log cabin. Dad dug it out again and brought it home. I didn't know. I knew it had been around the house, but I didn't know what had happened to it. And it showed up in my house. And Dad says, "Clearly, it's yours now. Take it with you. You hang on to it now. It's passed to you." That probably ranks up as one of the cooler things. Okay, that is going to be with me. This, by the way, is also the literal tool that I used. The other one I can't show you. That is one of two tools that I used to make that sign. I am it. That magnifying lens is what I used to burn this with. The other tool, guess why I can't show you? Okay, well, I guess wood, that I can show you. One's going to be a bit of a problem. But don't kid yourself. There's an old saying that goes, you figure out what to do with this. All that I do, thou shalt do, and more. It's been said in the past. It'll be said in the future. I'm telling you, I'm not that special. I'm just a different person. I just have a different way of looking at the world. Okay. And all I'm suggesting is that from your standpoint, take a look in the mirror. Uh-oh. Yeah. And Jen goes, "You can't show it to us because it's under the horizon." Yeah, that would be a problem. That really would be a problem. And it's a little early for Joe to see it. Or not Joe, rather. Joe, I don't know, the people in Australia anyway. The neat part about it is that all you got to realize is if somebody else can do it, so can you. But don't take that to the extreme. There is one guy in the States Yeah, that would do it. Okay, Christine. Hopefully we'll still be here. And that's our intention anyway. But all I'm suggesting is I'm looking at all these people running towards the same cliff. Okay. Now, the difference between humans and lemmings is pretty cut and dried. When a lemming runs into a wall, okay, when they see that wall in front of them, they tend to go around and they tend to change direction. Humans tend to try and climb the wall. Okay. It's bizarre. I don't care how many spikes you put on that wall. I'm going over that wall because that's where I was told to go. It is amazing how many people do exactly what they're told when it is proven to be detrimental. Okay. You know if you step off that cliff, you know you're going to die. Oh no, God will protect me. I'm not, it's not going to happen to me. How many teenagers have you ever heard of that you warn them, don't get into a vehicle with a drunk driver? How many people ignore that? It won't happen to me. And you end up picking them up off the sidewalk. Okay. I'm hoping to avoid that for some of you by simply turning the lights on. Now, I'm going to avoid something for me by simply going and getting a refill. Because this little individual went and drank all my coffee. I will be back momentarily. About a half an hour, Joe. Love you. See, this is why I make my coffee, before I start the show, so I can go and get it. The thing that we have to look at here is, yes, this is Good Friday. This is a day to remember what some people lost. What people lost, making certain you had a chance to land on your feet. And this is where I go completely sideways on you and go, thank you so much for those of you that have joined the military, that have joined first responders to step forth, protect the families, protect the communities, and protect the countries. Okay, hats off to you guys. I certainly am behind the military for what they do. Certainly grateful that I don't have to go and do it. I question the leadership a lot. Okay, but I question the leadership of everybody. The first job I ever held down was for a very high class country club in front of a bunch of millionaires. I literally told my boss and his lead supervisor that when they grow up and can get along, I'll talk to them. Until then, I'm making my own rules. I don't know why I didn't get fired, but I do know I've done that to every boss I ever had. Okay, I either told them to get out of my way and let me do my job my way, or I quit, one of the two. And in 2 cases when I quit, they came looking for me to hire me back. I don't know why. Okay, it's not because I'm subtle. That much is clear. I had a customer one day tell me, he goes, the customer is always right. I looked at him, and a long story before that. And I looked at him and I went, yeah, I know. My boss has been trying to tell me that for years. I've never listened to that story, to that side of it, because I'm a firm believer that everybody has a right to their own opinion. Not only if it agrees with me, although I will tell you this. In this stream, and this is why we put the list of rules at the top of the stream. In this stream, it does matter to me, because this stream has got, positive perceptions has got to remain a safe place for everybody. Okay, not just for me. But again, the rules I put in, the guidelines I put there are simply to ensure people know what they're up against. Now, absolutely, would I love to see more people in the chat room? You bet. But, well, I seem to remember, if you believe the stories, I seem to remember one gentleman some time back, he only had 12 people that listened to him. Okay. And we've already got 6. So, we're not doing bad. All that we're asking is that you turn the lights on in your own life and ask yourself, are you treating people the way your creator would look down on you and go, you're doing a wonderful job. I'm very proud of you, child. Carry on. Or are you doing what they would look at and go, are you out of your flaming mind? I gave you free will. I gave you freedom of choice. And you're choosing to do this. Okay. And it is free choice. What you didn't get was freedom from consequence. And the people that you're listening to, you made it back, Christine. Glad you rejoined us. Don't you just love tech problems? Mine usually take Frank to straighten out. Because I just gave up with mine. They go, bang, I'm not working anymore. But, when I look at the world the way it is right now, I'm going, I know how that feels. And, it's funny, Christine. We discovered it a couple of weeks back that if I sit too close to my computer, it's going to fry. It's going to freeze. Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. The guy that it's all about did not have a good day that day. If you believe what was written, okay, and we're not getting into that right now, but if you believe what was written, his day went from bad to worse. Okay. But the reality of it is, oh, excellent, Christine. I ended out and about. I got way too stressed out. I had to go out to the mall today. I was polite to everybody, but I was not comfortable. I got overwhelmed by I don't deal with crowds well, which may explain why I'm not interested in being on the pedestal. I'm not interested in the crowds, in that feeling. It gets too much for me. That said, I'm still going to be in Reno next month. Okay, that's already bought and paid for. And I just reworked the money today because I know I've stretched things to the limit, but I just reworked it today. And turns out I've got as long as I'm going to have to ignore a couple of bills for a couple of months, but they're all up to date right now. So I'm doing that to straighten things out. So I've got spending money while I'm down there. Yeah. See, I don't wear earplugs on the plane, but, that being said, I don't like things stuck in my ear. Especially not a wet finger. But, yes, I've had that experience. Not a good one. But I have a very definitive reason to go to Reno this year. So I'm going. Come to think of it, I've got to get that done. I've got to get some stuff done tonight. But the important thing here is that we take it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Christina. For me, it's to shut out the noise of others, I guess. Absolutely. Sometimes we have to stretch ourselves so we can reach new heights. I tried that. I lived a life as an Inquisitionist. I used to stretch a lot of people so they could reach new heights. I'm not entirely certain that's the same thing, but I enjoyed it. I'm guessing they were having a pretty bad idea and bad day. But the important thing, especially about today, what it is, look in the mirror. Is your behavior, is it what your creator would look down on you and smile and say, that's what I win, that's what I built it for. That's what I gifted it to you for. Congratulations, well done. Go forth and multiply. Okay, but, and I will repeat this again, I've done it multiple times. For pity's sakes, whatever you do, stay focused on the positive. Every time you read something negative, every time you read something negative, read, listen to, witness, doesn't matter. Go out and look to find something else of a positive nature. Two things in all fairness. One negative, two positive. Okay. Because the reality is, you overload your system, you keep putting positive things in, your cup will only hold so much water, it only holds so much. And then every time you pour something in, it pours out. But here's the thing, if you look at it, negative things are the first thing you see. So if you liken that to a cup of coffee, or to a cup, a bowl, whatever, the good things sink to the bottom, as long as we ignore the grounds. But all the good stuff sinks to the bottom because the first thing you see is what's on top. So every time you add something good, it fills the cup up a little more. But the first thing that's going to get dumped out of your cup is going to be the negative. It's going to overflow and drop off the top. Much like in a pond, the scum is the first thing that gets taken off. Now, of course, with that in mind, the thing you got to remember is we talked about the people being the cream of the crop. The top of the elites, the top of the totem pole. Something you got to keep in mind. Cream is not the only thing that floats. But whatever is of a negative nature will come to the surface. It's the easiest thing to see. But if you keep adding good things to it, it will raise the level of what's in there, and all of the bad stuff will pour out. And all you'll be left with is a good feeling, is a life that you can be content with. Now, which would you rather? Walking around in muck and mud and mire, or walking around in crystal clear, pristine, a pristine stream? Which one would you like? And I'm telling you, I'm going to have questions if you're one of these people who goes, oh, I like going for a walk in the muck and mire way more than the clean water. I might have a question about just exactly what happened. But I will tell you, and I'm not going to tell you which religion. Years ago, I was told by a chap, he says, I would have invited you to our temple if you had been dressed better. My immediate response to him was, the day God comes to me and says, you're dressing poorly, I may pay attention to him. The day I pay attention to some human telling me, you're not dressed well enough, the day I start paying attention to that, I'm going to turn around and turn myself into the nut house. And I know that's a bad word. You don't say nut house because it's derogatory and people will take offense to it. But, the day I start paying attention to people on that note, I'm simply going to go down there and say, hey, lock me up and find out what's wrong. Whether you've got tattoos, piercings, your skin color's funny, you've got blemishes because you're not perfectly put together, maybe you've got dandruff. Don't care. Every one of you is just as valuable as the next person. And I know many of you have a hard time believing anybody will look at people that way. You ever meet me in person, you'll find I haven't changed any. I'm still the same way. Granted, in person, my hands don't move nearly as much. But then in person, I move around a lot more. As in I don't sit on one spot. But we have an opportunity here. Okay, we can simply let this world continue going down the road it is going down and totally disregard the whole intention behind why some people celebrate Good Friday. Okay, some people celebrate Good Friday. Some people celebrate TGIF. Okay, and I'm telling you, if you're one of these people that celebrates TGIF, most of the people that I went to and that I lived in the bar with, most of them, if we went down for a TGIF, it was when we went down for Friday for TGIF, it was like, oh my gosh, it's Saturday. The next morning for most people was not enjoyable. I'm telling you, the guy that Good Friday is all focused around, he pretty much thought the same thing on Saturday morning. This is not the way I wanted my day to go. I'm betting dollars to donuts. He wasn't hanging up there going, hey, this is a rush. You should try it sometime. Come and hang around. Bad idea, guys. Really bad idea. And yeah, I know I'm saying things, oh my gosh, you're going to hell because it's sacrilegious. They play football in hell, I'll give you that. But, I've already been there, done that. Got the ball cap, got the t-shirt. T-shirt. Okay, there's a new word. Gonna have to look into that one. I think that's what I should get myself. T-shirt that says, I've been to hell, I've got the t-shirt. I'm not going to get the ball cap because I don't like hats. It's just not going to happen that way. I'm not even going to bring my cowboy hat to Texas when I go. Not because of the fact I don't like Texas, but because I don't feel like losing the hat. If the sun gets too bright here, I like the hat I've got. But when I talk about I've got a fat head, in this city, you're looking for a large hat, you find an extra large hat. You might find a 2X. I lucked out. My hat is a 4X. Okay, that's a useless piece of information for the day amongst much of the other stuff I've told you. Will, you're back. Welcome back. You got here just in time. Yes, we are just winding down. I'm glad it was, as you put it, codrific. In my case, I'm not sure how I'd pronounce it because mine's going to be a combination of tuna and mackerel, and I might actually have some clam to throw in with it. I've got clam chowder. I'm just going to add some extra seafood to it. But the reality is we have a golden opportunity here. You can either take a moment out right here, right now, and decide, are you going to continue on the path you're currently on? Are you going to keep running with the lemmings right to where they're leading you? Because I'm telling you, where society is heading right now is not going to end well on its current path. Oh, and we'll go, hey, say Special Intentions, Duke beats Houston tonight in the Sweet 16 March Madness basketball tournament. Well, I will, I'm a bit twisted on that, Woo. See, I figure if everybody on the court and everybody in the stands enjoys the game, the best I will give you is whoever wins, I hope they only win by one basket. Okay, and I hope that basket gets made right in the last couple of seconds of the game. Okay, somebody's got to be the winner, absolutely. Somebody's got to be the loser. But everybody, in my opinion, should enjoy the game. Okay, whether they're playing it or watching it, doesn't matter. I know people that will sit there, and I made the mistake of asking one person. I was sitting there. I was actually writing while the game was on, and they're sitting there on the edge of the screen of the seat. And I'm sure some of you people can understand this. You're sitting on the edge of your seat, screaming at the TV, and just yelling at the top of your lungs, "Go, go, go!" I made the mistake of turning to the individual I was watching the game with, and I went, "Does screaming at the TV actually help?" By the way, that is the wrong question to ask. You don't ask somebody that's screaming at the TV if it helps. But I do in all fairness. Oh, that is fantastic, Woo. That is, in my opinion, that's what makes a game really good. Getting right into the back end of it. Okay. And just at the last minute, somebody gets that one goal. Okay, because everybody's played their heart out. Somebody has to win. This is why the news section, the sports section in my newsletter, in Positive Perspectives, reads, "I'll tell you who the winner is. Whoever gets the most points, they win." Okay. As long as everybody enjoys it. I watched a race the other day, and the person was lead, that was in lead, tripped and fell. The two people right behind them stopped, picked them up, and the three of them crossed the line together. Okay, this is the thing about sportsmanship. This is the thing about treating people the way you desire to be treated, not to degrade somebody because they don't believe the same thing you do. Because rest assured, there are very few of you that will believe in the world the way I see it. But I can't blame you for it. Okay, my memories date back way beyond normal, and no, I'm not about to try and prove it. But I will tell you, we are in the last couple of minutes here. So I really want to thank you guys so very much for sharing your time with me today. Really do appreciate it. I will be back this week. We are literally going to be looking at the foundation of spirituality, which is what we've been looking at today. Tomorrow, we're going to look at your life and how to turn your life around. Okay. And then we're going to end up turning around and looking at society, off-world, you name it. Okay. And then we'll get to the creative side. But until then, I'm going to call this a night. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.